So everything I've said and spoken about is absolutely true. Every theory, everything that I've talked about, everything that I've summarized from all my research, reading Evo Psych, coaching guys, all my own personal lessons. I haven't been proven wrong yet. Show me where I've been proven wrong. I'll wait. Okay. The next point that I made through is you're going to have to dig through a lot more dirt to find gold. A lot of guys complain about the talent in the dating pool. I mean, I even have very successful, like I had a call, the other day with a guy in Europe, 6'5", good looking, worth $30 million, in his mid 30s. Like he's at the peak of his SMV and he's just running into dog shit. If you want a good quality woman, they are out there in some regard. They're not never pedestalized. But you're going to have to dig through a lot of dirt to find gold. That statement has never rung more true than spending a year with anywhere from 3 to 5, guests with us. There's just a lot of crap out there. Number 3 I wrote down was thoughterry should always be a walk away. Like we've seen this time and time again throughout the weeks, where it's like just bad behavior, bad attitudes, bad use of lingo and language, uncouth, discussion. Oh, if he doesn't want me to travel, then that's a him problem. He's insecure, or he's too controlling, or some shit like that. And it's like, if she's a thought, she's a thought. Just she's made for the streets. As they've said out there before, she's made for the streets. Let her be. Okay. Don't even bother trying to change her. She will go through the motions. She may come to the realization that she's made some bad choices later on down the road when she doesn't get what she wants, or she starts to realize that her expiry date is getting closer and closer. Who cares? Thoughterry is just a walkaway. Do not negotiate with thoughterry. Do not negotiate with it at all. Most women under 30 are trash today. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Most of the younger girls, even though they're more attractive, they're more fertile, they should be the ones that are in the best position to get what they want out of life. The guidance isn't there for them. The social constructs, the cultural pressures that they're hearing and seeing, like, you go girl, a woman needs a fish, or woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, blah, blah, blah. You've heard all the lyrics before. Most women under 30, if they've gone through the motions, that's it. A woman's job is to preserve her value. Her family, her father, her parents should make that clear to them. But it's not being followed. So we've got a large contingent of women, younger women today, that just have really bad attitudes and just don't get what high value meant. I'm going to put this back up over here again, right? This is the summary for the last year. I can't find a man who meets my standards. And then the next one is, I don't meet the standards of the men that meet my standards. Women don't get it, I'm going to do that in quotations, until it's too late. The women that do get it are generally into their 30s at the earliest, usually by 40s, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky if you can get a chick that gets it by her 30s. Most of them don't get it, right? They just don't get it until it's too late. And then when they get it, then they're like, oh, I fucked up. I made some bad choices. I did the wrong thing. Like, I think a classic example was that sweet lady that we had on, who was the medical professional moth, who, she wrote that long story. She wasn't attractive. She was overweight.
Yeah.
In her early 40s. She's like, I was lied to.
She had the Tesla.
The degree, the $100,000 in student debt. Works like all these different, professional medical roles, and she's not happy. Her friends that have managed to lock down a decent guy and have a family, she's envious of them, and she wishes that she didn't listen to all that "you go girl, you need a man like a fish needs a bicycle" bullshit, because they just get to that lonely state. So I'll say it again, women don't get it usually until it's too late. I'm going to say about 90% of the guests that we have are delusional. They're absolutely disconnected from the reality of the world. Men do it too. Like, I'm not just shitting on women here, but a lot of guys are very, disconnected. Like, I had this Twitter space the other day. Guy called in. He's like, okay, I've got a whole bunch of questions. And he's like, I'm this, that, and the other thing. And he mentioned severely overweight. And he just kept going. I'm like, stop. I don't even want to hear the rest of the story. Severely overweight. Okay, how tall are you? What do you weigh? Right? He's like close to 300 pounds, 6 foot tall. I'm like, I don't even want to hear the rest of your fucking story until you lose the weight, because I'm not going to take you seriously. People aren't going to take you seriously. Women aren't going to take you seriously. It's like people create this delusion, this story in their head about what it takes to win, and they don't focus on the basics, the necessities. Men need to create value. Women need to preserve value. I'm going to say it again and again and again. I'm going to keep saying that shit. Women that get it, like they actually get it, again, in quotations that we've seen from Ladies' Night, are either gross or they're taken. Religion is a joke to these women. We've had how many women now? They're like, oh, I'm a woman of God. I'm a good Christian. I want to find a good Christian man, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, the one that's like they've been run through. They're single moms. They're not like, they're just like, you know, if you're all about religion and the Bible and all that sort of stuff, you should be chased. Okay, you shouldn't have been run through by a bunch of guys. The other one that stood out that kept popping up is, you know, Christianity, Bible, woman of God, blah blah, and she's got tattoos. I remember this one girl. She's waving her hand around. I'm like, you know, she's talking about being a woman of God and wanting a good Christian man. I'm like, is that a tattoo in your wrist? She's like, yep. I go, oh, okay, cool. So how many tattoos do you have? And she starts counting them. I can't remember what the fucking count was, like seven or something. And it's like the Bible says you're not supposed to mark your body. You're not supposed to scar or tattoo your body. Oh, no, that's not what it says. That's a misinterpretation. I literally pulled it up, Leviticus. I'm not religious. I pull it like your own fucking rule book. You don't follow it, but you want some simp to fall in line so that you can milk the guy, right?
Yep.
Be careful with these, you know, trad wife broads that are selling this, you know, this story, this narrative. It's mostly bullshit. It's disgusting, you know, for being honest. The next point that I jotted down is women have been a disappointment for the most part. Given that we've had women that have actually come to me saying, hey, Rich, I've seen your shows for guys. I love it. What about ladies? You know, like, can we do something for the girls sort of thing? Okay, fine. I gave it to you and you guys fucked up. The vast majority of you fucked it up. The next point that I got is relationship with her father is more important than I thought. It's one of the it's the first red flag in my book, in the 21 red flags. And if you're new to the channel, let me just put the banner up down at the bottom. You can get that chapter for free just by opting into my email list and go to entrepreneursandcars.com/red-flags. Her relationship with her dad. So this has come up quite a few times. The women that are really messed up do not have either a father or a good relationship with their father, or respect and value men. And it's worse than I thought it was. I knew that it wasn't good, but with the amount of conversations we've had with some of these gals, it's just off the chart crazy.
That was the one that I had too. I was like,
yeah.
I'm
So
doubling and tripling
women that have a good relationship with their dad. It should
so much more important than I think we both thought.
It's not even optional. It's got to be mandatory if you want to have.
It should be red flag number 1, and then like 50 feet, and then red flag number 2.
Yeah. If you want to have kids, you want to invite a chick in your life on a long-term basis. Make sure you can, like, her dad is the kind of guy that you can sit down and shoot the shit with for hours, just you and him, because he's cool. You guys are on the same sort of page, you know, sort of thing. Comment section, dad. Women don't want the truth. They want lies. They don't want to hear the fucking truth. I mean, you know, guys are like this too. You know, people in general, humans in general, want comforting lies. They sell better than the uncomfortable truth. It is what it is. I wrote down old bitches love me, because how many times have we, it's like, paint an avatar of the kind of guy that you want. Well, if not too fine of a point, how about you, Rich? It's like, no, it's not going to happen.
That's happened multiple times.
The only women that did that were the older ones that were like well past their prime. It's like, sorry, not happening. Next one I got, OnlyFans hoes are a disaster. Major cope. Every time we had, I think that OnlyFans lawyer that Jasmine one was probably the worst example. You can see a clip of the main points of the conversation, but the entire show for 90 minutes. I mean, she was one of the worst example, but every single OnlyFans girl that we had on was a total disaster, should not be entertained for anything serious whatsoever. They have like major delusion, major coke going on in their head, thinking that people are just going to forget about the fact that they've shared all these photographs of themselves all over the internet, done all kinds of nasty things. Baby rabies is real and should be avoided entirely. We've seen quite a few women. I think most recently we had the one last week. She was 39 or 38 or somewhere in the late 30s, and she was just desperate to have a kid. And I overtly stated, you're not a good choice. You're basically like, bananas are on the shelf, they're green, they go yellow, and then they go brown and bruised, and they basically discount them and they throw them out. You're on the discount shelf at basically 50% off. And I had guys emailing me going, hey, I'd love to be introduced to that girl. I'd love to have a kid. Would you be able to connect me? It's like, did you not fucking hear what I said? Are you stupid? Do not waste your time with baby rabies. Oh, situationship. So this is a relatively new term to me in the last year, but we had quite a few of the girls that were like, oh, I'm in a situationship, because we'd ask them at the start of the show, well, what's your status? You single, you're married, you got a boyfriend, like, what do you, and we heard a lot of this situationship, and these chicks are gross. There was one that I made a note of here where we were talking about her situationship. I think she was a traveling nurse, if I'm not mistaken. And there was that dude that walked in the background out the front door behind the camera when she was talking about, not wanting to commit and just sort of like trying to
get his shirt off or something like that.
Yeah, like half naked. He's like carrying his clothes to like change and like put them on. It's like, and I'm like, is that your friends with benefits that just walked out the back door in the scene of the camera? She's like, oh yeah, that's him. That's my friend right now. It's like she's 27 and she's talking about wanting a family and a guy and to be taken seriously. And literally on camera, she just got piped down to some dude walking in the background in view of the camera. It's just like these situationship broads. It's the same story every single time. You deal with women that you're hearing situationship from. These women have been passed around. Okay, stay away from them. Travel nurses are to be avoided was the other point that I made. Like every single travel nurse that we talked, they've been through everything. They make good money, and maybe when they get into the 30s or 40s, they might be interesting or fun to talk to. They, like we had some good conversations, but they've been run through. Women that don't listen to their fathers to be avoided too. So I made a note about that chick that married that Muslim guy and moved to Egypt.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember her. I remember my mom telling me a story a few years ago because she grew up in the Mediterranean, the Middle East. So she's Greek. My mom's dad, my grandfather was Greek, and my grandmother on her side was Armenian. So she speaks like 4 or 5 languages. And she told me the story about how one day she told her dad that a guy that she was seeing wanted to marry her. And of course, my grandfather wanted, okay, well, who is this guy that wants to marry my daughter? And he was not acceptable to his standards, if I can put it that way, because of his culture and background. And he told my mom, he goes, if you choose to marry that man, you're a ghost to me. I don't know you anymore. You're not my daughter. So she made the right choice, my mom, and passed on what my grandfather said was a bad choice. And the rest is history. I think that a woman that listens to her father and respects her father, will make better choices. But we've seen this over and over again where we see these chicks that just, it's like, I started getting this pattern where you'd hear like these bad stories or like these bad experiences. And one of the things I would often say, okay, well, what does your dad say about all that? And there was either an absent father or her dad's basically saying what I'm saying, but she just ignored it. Right. So it's like, well, there you go. Right. Don't listen to fathers. Women love equalism only when it serves them. So, we saw things like, oh, well, if he's going to cheat, then I should cheat too, or something like that. It's like, and then it's like, okay, well, if there's a bang in the night, can he just, like wake you up and say, well, you go downstairs and you deal with the fucking intruder and you beat him up? Oh, no, that's a man's job. Okay, well, if there's a flat tire, like, are you going to change a flat tire? Or does he change a flat tire? Oh, no, that's a man's job. So it's like this cherry picking thing where it's a la carte service, for what works for them. And then what doesn't work for them is now your job as a man. It's really fascinating to see it unfold when you get into the conversations live. There's loads of them out there. Like, we're not like, guys, the entire playlist is there. Like, go back through the old catalog if you haven't seen it. And then the last point that I jotted down here was around reputation management, which you will literally look in women's eyes and they will lie to your face. You'll ask them questions and they will lie to your face because they have to manage their reputation, because women have been slut shamed throughout history. And if they ruin their reputation, they would have been outcast from the tribe, from the village or whatever. So they will lie to protect their reputation. and just go along to get along and say what you want to hear, or say whatever preserves their value as best as they can, despite the fact they've already shattered it or ruined it, for the most part. But they will legit, like, again, that example that we used last week where it's like, oh, I'm a good girl when I travel and I just play, board games. Like, I'm just having fun with my friends. It's like, yeah, we saw the photographs that, were dropped there on that last ladies' night. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.